Today's your first day on the wheel for bowls, and part of what we're trying to accomplish is transforming a cylinder into a bowl. So most of what you throw on the wheel is starts out as a cylinder, and today is going to learn how to make it into a bowl. So some of the requirements we're looking for is about a 1/2 inch base, and you can have a thicker base if you wish. Just know that if the thicker your base is, the less material you have to create volume in your bowl. So a thicker base, smaller bowl. Thinner base, bigger bowl. So about 1/2 inch is the thinnest you want to do, because we are going to learn how to trim a raised foot in this round. So we need a little extra material for that. Your walls should be an even consistent thickness. 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch is good. We're going to try to shoot for about 6 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And just know that those are kind of what we're working at. If it's close, it's good. Okay. I'm using those measurements based off of our charts that are behind our wheels, those white long charts. It says for a small bowl, you should work with 1 pound 6 ounces. You guys are going to be working with 2 pounds. So that should be a very easy task, that you're working with 10 extra ounces of clay. So it should be pretty easy to accomplish those requirements. It also says 3 inches tall by 6 inches wide. So that's where I'm getting those measurements from. So that's what our goal is. So 2 pounds of clay is what we're working with. And basically everything is going to be the same from throwing a cylinder. There's just 2 minor changes that we'll do. So I still want to have my non-dominant elbow into my hip, and non-dominant hand on the side, dominant hand pushing down. Okay, for centering. Making sure you're using enough water to have the clay slip between your hands, not stick. Then from this hand position, we switch to using 2 or 3 fingers, whichever is more comfortable for you. And we're going to drill. So just think, if your hole is not centered, it could be that your fingers, like you're trying to find it, just place your fingers in the middle and push down, and the clay will naturally spin around and find center. If you get like the funny little cone buildup in the middle, that just means that you're not quite at center. So you just kind of shimmy your fingers over to where that extra clay mound is kind of poking out, and just press down there. Okay. So here's where you can stop your wheel and check for depth. Okay. So about 1/2 inch. That's good. If it's really thick, you might want to go a little thinner. If it goes too thin, still try to throw your bowl. Just know that the next time, don't go down so far. Okay, so we've drilled. Now we're going to start to open. So this is when you pull your fingers back to your belly button, or to 6 o'clock on the clock. Here's the slight difference from throwing a cylinder, is that you don't have to get that 90-degree corner. Some people are very excited about that. So what I'm going to do, when you were throwing a cylinder, you had to go from your pads of your fingers and then up to your fingertips to make that 90-degree corner or edge in your cylinder. Now you don't have to do that for a bowl, because we want a nice curve to your bowl. So we're going to just kind of use your fingertips and the pads of your fingers and just kind of swoop back, so you get a nice gradual bowl shape. All right, we want something that's good for cereal or ice cream or whatever floats your boat. Okay, so we get that nice kind of conical shape. If this starts to get a little crazy or wobbly or uncentered, slow your hands down. You're probably just moving them too fast. Let the clay revolve a few times in your hand before you stretch it anymore. And that can correct any wobbliness. Okay, you notice that I'm compressing the lip too, or the top, just to make sure that's in control. All right, what should we do with the base? You guys remember what you have to do? You have to compress.
Oh yeah, that stuff that hurts your hand.
The grog that's in the clay helps to reduce shrinkage, so you don't come out with really small pieces. But if you forget to compress, you'll get a crack on the bottom of your piece when it dries. Okay, so don't forget to compress. Okay, so really everything's been the same except the fact you don't have to make that corner, right? Now we're going to pull your walls. So this is when we shift, if you're a righty, to like between 3 and 4 o'clock. If you're a lefty, between 8 and 9 o'clock. And remember that your hands should be together, touching and kind of working as a pair. You have a hook on the outside and 2 to 3 fingertips on the inside. And you're going to pinch the clay, and you should kind of see a little bit of a shadow or some height growth happening, and just pull straight up. Like I said, we're going to still work within a cylinder. Compress that lip so it stays in control. And I'm going to go back for another pull. A lot of the time, right down here where it touches, the clay touches the wheel head, that's where there's a lot of clay hanging out. So if you can get your knuckle to get underneath that, it might be a little uncomfortable at first, but if you can get that knuckle under there, you'll have a lot more clay to work with. Slow and steady. If your piece starts to get uncentered or wobbly at this point, you're probably just moving your hands too fast. Re-wet. And you can go for as many pulls as it needs to get that height. So don't think you have to do it all in one shot. That's pretty tricky to do. It takes practice to get there. You should always take multiple attempts to get the height. Okay, so I think it's pretty good when you can try to get about 4 inches of height in your cylinder. Your walls should be pretty thick because you're going to stretch it now. You're going to lose some vertical height and you're going to use some thickness in your walls. Okay. So I'm going to go down towards the base, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to still kind of do a pull, but I'm going to start to push a little bit more with my inside hand, and you'll see it start to grow out. Just nice and slow. And follow through. Re-wet so that your hands are going to slide, not pull. Just gentle pressure pushing out. So it's really stretching. I'm not trying to create any more height. I'm just trying to create more volume. Okay. So here is, this is 6.5, almost 6 3/4 inches wide, so it's a little wider than we need, and it's about 3.5 inches tall, so that should be good. All right, a couple things to finish is don't forget to trim the base. This is clay that you'll never need, so might as well get rid of it now when it's quick and easy to trim away. And then just make sure that you don't have a lot of water inside your bowl. This could cause for your piece to not dry out properly or crack on you as well. Okay. So for this assignment, you are going to cut 1 1/2 just to assess how you're doing with the requirements. Okay. So is it about 1/2 inch, even thickness on walls, 3 inches in height, 6 inches across? Okay. Once you cut this in half, post it on Seesaw, and then you're going to make at least 1 more to keep. And then tomorrow I can show you decorative options.